Send out a notice out. Okay, notice out. Check to see if the streaming is working. Okay, notice out. Okay. Everything seems to be working by Krishna's magical arrangement. Okay, let's go back. Okay, everybody, welcome to the evening class on the Caitanya Caritamrta. All right. And let's see. Okay. Very good. Okay, let's start chanting. All right. Tonight we'll chant it's not focusing. Let me just turn it off and on again. Whoops. Okay, now it's working. Okay, tonight, whoop, this thing tends to go out of focus. All right, we'll chant and see how it goes. There we go. Okay. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinatha Vardhana Mohan. Shaima Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Bhavan Kishigata Vakshi Rata Manasakana Yakhak Sapalila Goila Shinanandana Shinanda Shoda Jaya Jaya Gopakan Shri Ramani Jaya Jaya Dena Vatsa Gan Jaya Vrishabhan Jaya Kittina Sandiri Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Bira Nakari Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavana Maharaj Jaya Jaya Krishna Sakara Bhattu Dvijaraj Jaya Ram Brahmagata Jaya Rohini Nandan Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasi Jata Jana Jaya Dvija Patna Jaya Nakakanya Gavan Bhaktiteya Dhara Paila Govinda Jara Rasamandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Rasa Lila Sarva Manoram Jaya Jaya Jwala Rasa Sarva Rasa Arakiya Bhaveya Vrajate Vrajava Shri Jannavapada Padma Koriyasmara Dina Krishna Dasako Nama Sankirtan Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Vivo, Modivo, Divo, Chaco, Ativo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravaticharya also Tela Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Sabaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se go. Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shiva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Saim Kund Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavanam ki jai. Maturadam ki jai. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Yamunamai ki jai. Srimati Lasi Devi ki jai. Sambhaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the Shri Gurun Gauranga, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prastaya Budle, Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste, Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari Nivashesha, Shunyavadi Paschacha, Deja Tarane. So let me read the translation to this poem by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, who is also the author of the Caitanya Charitamrta, which we're going to be reading tonight. All glories to Radha Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavana. All glories to the three presiding deities of Vrindavana, Shri Govinda, Gopinath, and Madan Mohan. All glories to Shamakun, Radhakun, Govardhan Hill, the Yamuna River, Kalindi. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavana. All glories to Keshigat, the Vamsivat tree, and the 12 forests of Braja. At these places, the son of Nanda, Shri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys headed by Shri Dama. All glories to the cows and calves of Braja. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Rishabhanu, and the beautiful Kirtida. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Braja. All glories to Gopishwara Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan in order to protect the holy Dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmin friend, Madhumangal. All glories to Ramagat, where Lord Balaram performed his rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all the residents of Vrindavana. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion they all obtain the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the rasa dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shama. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the bellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas and is propagated in Braja by Sri Krishna in the form of the divine Padikiyabhava. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Sri Janava Devi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna, sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. Okay. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shalagaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Okay. Good to see everybody. Okay. So, let us start, if that's all right. So, now we're going to read from the Caitanya Charitamrta, from the 16th chapter of the Anty Lila, and beginning with text 129. So let's start. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, and now we're going to hear about Krishna's flute. We've been hearing about how Krishna's flute, even though Krishna's flute is a male, Krishna's flute gets to touch Krishna's lips continually. And Krishna's flute is telling the gopis sarcastically, you should get a chance to do it, but they are restrained by some social conventions, whereas the flute is not restrained by any social conventions. So remember, in the spiritual world, the flute is a person. The flute has a personality. The flute could talk. The flute has intelligence. The flute is a devotee. Every aspect of Krishna's paraphernalia and dham, every aspect is personal. Shushka bansera latikana eta kare apamana edasa karila goshani nasahi ki karite pari tahirai monodare churara maki daki kandate nai. The flute is nothing but a dry stick of bamboo, but it becomes our master and insults us in so many ways that it forces us into a predicament. What can we do but tolerate it? The mother of a thief cannot cry loudly for justice when a thief is punished. Therefore, we simply remain silent. Wow. So, anyway, so here's the gopis. They're quite envious of the flute. And it's interesting, in the Vidagdha Madhava, you have Srimati Radharani crying because she is thinking that she is unchaste. And why is she thinking she's unchaste? She's thinking that she's in love with 3 different men. Actually, she's only in love with Krishna. And so the 3 different are the boy who plays the flute, the person whose name is Krishna, and Krishna. Anyway, so with that transcendental boy. So Adarera, and then she's assured they're all the same person. Adadera iriti arashuna kuniti Seyadara sanehara mela Sevakshabo japana Hayamrita samana Nama tarahaya Krishna pela. Such is the policy of these lips. Just consider some other injustices. Everything that touches those lips, including food, drink, or betel, becomes just like nectar. It is then called Krishna pelo, or remnants left by Krishna. So, of course, Lord Caitanya here is just referring to prasadam too. Say, pelara ekalava napaya devata sava edame kiva patiyaya bahujanma punyakare tabi sukriti namadare say sukrite tara lavapaya. Even after much prayers, the demigods themselves cannot obtain even a small portion of the remnants of such food. Just imagine the pride of those remnants. Only a person who has acted piously for many, many births and has thus become a devotee can obtain the remnants of such food. So we're fortunate. We take the remnants of Radha Golokananda here, and the deities. And of course, when I take prasadam, I'm taking a sample of the remnants of Radha Golokananda, and then also the foodstuffs that are offered to Giriraj, my deities. So I get Giriraj's remnants. Of course, they're both the same. Giriraj's remnants and Radha Golokananda's remnants, and I am enlivened. Krishna ye kaya tambula, Krishna tara nahi mula, tahe ara damba paripati, tarayeva udgara, tare kaya amritsara, gopira mukha, kari alavati. The betel chewed by Krishna is priceless, and the remnants of such chewed betel from his mouth are said to be the essence of nectar. When the gopis accept these remnants, their mouths become his spittoons. Now, if you don't know what a spittoon is, it's when people used to chew betel, okay, and after chewing it, they usually wouldn't swallow, they would spit it, and they'd spit it into a spittoon. So, what is mundane or even contaminated in this world, when it's in relationship with Krishna's transcendental body is actually spiritual and full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Just like we just read about Kalidas bathing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet and drinking the water. I mean, if you tell this to someone who is not aware of the Vedic culture or Krishna consciousness, that someone is drinking the water that was used to bathe someone's feet, they'll say, you. Because feet are usually considered dirty. In fact, feet are usually dirty. Except the Lord's feet are lotus feet. So, and actually the pure devotees, their footprints and then foot dust and everything like that is considered spiritual too. So, E sabatamara kutinati chara e paripati venudware khan he hara prana apanara hasilagi naha narira vadabagi deha nijadar ramrita dana. So you see how everything is rhyming here. Therefore, my dear Krishna, please give up all the tricks you have set up so expertly. Do not try to kill the life of the gopis with the vibration of your flute. Because of your joking and laughing, you are becoming responsible for the killing of women. It would be better for you to satisfy us by giving us the charity of the nectar of your lips. There again, the gopis, they're just wanting to kiss Krishna. In the material world, this kissing is extremely moochy. Like Prabhupada would sometimes say the mouth is extremely dirty. I mean, if you touch your mouth, you're supposed to wash your hands, and kissing is yuck. But in the spiritual world, there's a spiritual body. So everything that in this world is perverted and pretty yucky. Kahite kahite prabhu ramana piri gela kruda amsha shanta haila utkanta badila. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking like this, his mind changed, his anger subsided, but his mental agitation increased. Parama durlabha e Krishna dharamrita tahaye paya tara sapala jivita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, this nectar from Krishna's lips is supremely difficult to obtain, but if one gets some, his life will be successful, become successful. Yogyahana keha karite napaya pana tatapi se nir laja vitadare prana. When a person competent to drink the nectar, that nectar does not do so, that shameless person continues his life uselessly. Ayogyahana taha keha sarapana kare yogya jana nahi paya lobe matra mare. There are persons who are unfit to drink that nectar, but who nevertheless drink it continuously, whereas some who are suitable never get it and thus die of greed. Tate jani kona tapashara achai bala ayogere eoyaya Krishna dharma amrita pala. It is therefore to be understood that such an unfit person must have obtained the nectar of Krishna's lips on the strength of some austerity. Kaha ramaraya kichu shunite hayamana bhava jani padai raya gopira vachana. Again, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Ramananda Roy, please say something, I want to hear. Understanding the situation, Ramananda Roy recited the following words of the gopis. Gopya kim macharadayam kushalam smavenur damodoradara suram api gopi kanam vungte swayam yada vishta rasam riddinyo rishatvacho shru mumu chus taravo yatar yaha. My dear gopis, what auspicious activities must the flute have performed to enjoy the nectar of Krishna's lips independently and leave only a taste for us gopis for whom that nectar is actually meant. The forefathers of the flute, the bamboo trees, shed tears of pleasure. His mother, the river on whose bank the bamboo was born, feels jubilation, and therefore her blooming lotus flowers are standing like hair on her body. This verse, quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.21.9, is part of a discussion the gopis had among themselves as the autumn season began in Vrindavan. Lord Krishna was tending the cows and blowing on his flute. The gopis then began to praise Krishna and discuss the fortunate position. Discuss the fortunate position of his flute. Hey shloka shuni prabhu bhava vishtahana utkantate artakare pralapa kariya. Upon hearing the recitation of this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became absorbed in ecstatic love, and with a greatly agitated mind he began to explain its meaning like a madman. Eho Vrajendra Nandana Vrajera Konal Kanyagan Avasya Kariba Parineya Se Samande Gopi Gana Yare Mane Nijadana Se Sura Anyera Labya Naya. Some gopis said to the other gopis, "Just see the astonishing pastimes of Krishna, the son of Vrajendra. He will certainly marry all the gopis of Vrindavan. Therefore the gopis know for certain that the nectar of Krishna's lips is their own property and cannot be enjoyed by anyone else. Gopi Gana Kahasava Kariya Vichare Kon Tirtha Kon Tapa Kon Siddha Mantra Japa Evenu Kaila Janman Tare." My dear gopis, fully consider how many pious activities this flute performed in his past life. We do not know what places of pilgrimage he visited, what austerities he performed, or what perfect mantra he chanted. Hena Krishna Dara Sudha Ye Caitamrta Muda Yara Shaya Gopi Dare Prana Evenu Ayogya Hati Stavara Purusha Jati Se Sudha Sada Kare Prana. This flute is utterly unfit because it is merely a dead bamboo stick. Moreover, it belongs to the male sex, yet this flute is always drinking the nectar of Krishna's lips, which surpass nectarian sweetness of every description. Only by hoping for that nectar do the gopis continue to live. Yaradana nahi Yaradana nakahi tare panakare balatkare Pite tare vakya janaya tara tapashyara pala deka ihara bhagya bala ihara uchista mahajane kaya. Although the nectar of Krishna's lips is the absolute property of the gopis, the flute, which is just an insignificant stick, is forcibly drinking that nectar and loudly inviting the gopis to come drink it also. Just imagine the strength of the flute's austerities and good fortune. Even great devotees drink the nectar of Krishna's lips after the flute has done so. Transcendental envy. Manasa Ganga Kalindi Bhuvana Pavane Nadi Krishna Yadi Tate Kare Snana Venura Jutadara Rasa Hanalobe Paravasha Se Kale Harshe Kare Panha. When Krishna takes his bath in universally purifying rivers like the Yamuna and the Ganges of the celestial world, the great personalities of those rivers greedily and jubilantly drink the remnants of the nectarian juice from his lips. Let me just see something about the translation. Manasa Ganga. Manasa Ganga also refers to the Ganges that was created from Krishna's mind. And the interesting story about that. When Krishna was in Vrindavan one time, Nanda Maharaj wanted to go to the Ganges. In other words, leave Vrindavan. Krishna said, "Don't leave Vrindavan, I'm going to manifest the Ganges here." And so Krishna called the Ganges to appear in Vrindavan in the form of a lake called the Manasa Ganga, which is in the center of Govardhan. And in that lake, of course, Krishna manifested the personification of the Ganges. The personification of the Ganges, Ganga Devi, came out and attested to the fact that that was the Ganges. And Krishna had many boat pastimes on this Manasa Ganga. One time Krishna portrayed himself as an old boatman to trick the gopis to take a boat ride when they wanted to cross the Manasa Ganga. And as they were crossing, Krishna played many tricks on them. I'm not going to tell the whole story now. But eventually they discovered it was Krishna because this boatman, old boatman, had a flute stuck in his belt, and Radha and Krishna were together in the middle of the Manasa Ganga. So, Etanare Rahudure, Briksha Sabe Taratire, Tapakare Para Upakari, Nadira Shesha Rasapana, Mula Dware Akashya, Kene Pie Bushite Napari. Aside from the rivers, the trees standing on the banks, like great ascetics and engaging in welfare activities for all living entities, drink the nectar of Krishna's lips by drawing water from the river with their roots. We cannot understand why they drink like that. Nijankure Bulakita, Pushpe Hasha Vikashita, Madhumishe Vahi Ashru Dara, Venure Mani Nijajati, Aryara Yenapura, Putra Nati, Vaishnava Hele, Ananda Vikara. The trees on the bank of the Yamuna and Ganges are always jubilant. They appear to be smiling with their flowers and shedding tears in the form of flowing honey. Just as the forefathers of a Vaishnava, son or grandson, feel transcendental bliss, the trees feel blissful because the flute is a member of their family. Venura tapajani abe, se tapakari tabe, eya yogya mara yogya nati, yana panaduke mare, ayogya pie sahite nare, tahalagi tapasya vichari. The gopis considered the flute as completely unfit for his position. We want to know what kind of austerities the flute executed so that we may also perform the same austerities. Although the flute is unfit, he is drinking the nectar of Krishna's lips. Seeing this, we qualified gopis are dying of unhappiness. Therefore, we must consider the austerities the flute underwent in his previous life. Eteka palapakare, premaveshe gorahare, Sangilana Sarupa Rama Rai, Kabunachi Kabugaya, Bhavaveshe Murchayaya, Erupe Ratri Dina Yaya. While thus speaking like a madman, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu became full of ecstatic emotion. In the company of his two friends, Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy, he sometimes danced, sometimes sang, and sometimes became unconscious in ecstatic love. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu passed his days and nights in this way. Sarupa Rupa Sanatan, Raghunatha Rashi Charana, Shire Dare Kariya Ash, Caitanya Charitamrta, Amrita, Haite Paramrita, Gayadina Hina Krishna Das. Sounds like we're coming to the end of the chapter. Yes, expecting the mercy of Swarup, Rupa, Sanatan, and Raghunath Das, and taking their lotus feet on my head, I, the most fallen Krishnadas, continued chanting the epic Sri Caitanya Charitamrta, which is sweeter than the nectar of transcendental bliss. So today we went 129 to the end, and we're going to go on to the next chapter. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports, this Sri Caitanya Charitamrta, Anty Lila 16th chapter, describing the nectar flowing from Sri Krishna's lotus lips. Wow. This is so intimate. Of course, as I mentioned many times before, we hear it, we may not understand it, but by hearing it, it's purifying. Don't put yourself in that situation right now. When you are Vishyachi Chatiya Kabe Shuddhahave Mana, when you have a purified mind, and purified means nothing else other than the pleasure of Krishna. You're not trying to enjoy Krishna. Remember, the gopis are not trying to enjoy Krishna. They're trying to give Krishna enjoyment. And Krishna gets enjoyed when people faint hearing his flute. It's not simply that they're enjoying fainting, but they're serving Krishna. The mood is to give Krishna pleasure. Try to remember that. It's hard to understand that when you're projecting your own experiences in this material world. You know, you're talking about these bodily activities like kissing and things like that. You're thinking, you know, they're trying to extract some pleasure out of Krishna, squeeze some pleasure. But they're not seeing Krishna as an object. He's the Vishaya, and they're the Ashraya. Ashraya means that the bhakti is taken shelter. They're the shelter of bhakti. So bhakti means simply the desire to please the beloved. Nothing else. But please the beloved in different ways that the beloved wants from them according to that situation. And according to that situation that the beloved Krishna wants from them, they have specific forms in the spiritual world. Those forms are a manifestation of their love, which is not different from them. Remember that. Not different from their soul, not different from their mind, not different from their intelligence, not different from them. And that's the form of love that in relationship to Krishna. It depends on their relationship to Krishna, their rati. Rati means relationship, and rasa means the taste of a specific relationship. Okay. So, without further ado, let's go on to chapter 17. Chapter 17 is entitled The Bodily Transformations of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 17th chapter in his Amrita Prabha Bhasha. Absorbed in transcendental ecstasy, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu went out one night without opening the doors to his room. After crossing over 3 walls, he fell down among some cows belonging to the district of Tailanga. There he remained unconscious, assuming the aspect of a tortoise. There's actually a similar story earlier where Krishna's arms, Lord Chaitanya's arms became extended, and in this particular story, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's limbs withdrew into his transcendental body. And as I said, that's a transcendental body. The transcendental body manifests one's feelings fully. Our body doesn't manifest our feelings fully. That's why we cannot fully experience transcendental emotions in this particular body, or else the body would be kaput, finished. Okay, let's go. Text 1. Likyate shilagorendor achadbhutam alokikam yaridrishtam tan mukachrutva divyonmada vicheshtitam. I'm simply trying to write about Lord Gaurachandra's transcendental activities and spiritual madness, which are very wonderful and uncommon. I dare to write of them only because I have heard from the mouths of those who have personally seen the Lord's activities. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda. All glories to Dvaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. Mata Mahaprabhu Ratri Divase Unmadera Cheshta Pralapa Kare Prema Veshe. Absorbed in ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted and talked like a madman day and night. Ekadina Prabhu Swarupa Ramananda Sange Ardaratri Ganaila Krishna Kata Range. In the company of Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once passed half the night talking about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Yabaye Baba Prabhura Kariye Udaya Bhavanandu Rupa Gita Gaya Swarupa Mahashaya. As they talked of Krishna, Swarup Damodar Goswami would sing songs exactly suitable for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental emotions. Vidyapati Chandidasa Shri Gita Govinda Bhavanu Rupa Shloka Padena Raya Ramananda. To complement the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Roy would quote verses from the books of Vidyapati and Chandidas, and especially from the Gita Govinda by Jayadev Goswami. Gita Govinda, of course, is a book in which depicts Krishna bowing down and crying at Srimati Radharani's feet. Whew, famous literature. And Jayadev Goswami, he also wrote the Dasha Avatar shlokas, like Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa, Keshavadrita Shukara Rupa, Keshavadrita Ramashurya Haladhara Rupa, etc. Maji Maji Apane Prabhu Shloka Padya Shlokera Artha Karena Prabhu Vilapa Kariya. At intervals, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would also recite a verse, then in great lamentation he would explain it. Mate Nana Bhave Ardaratri Haila Goshani Reshayana Karai Dunhe Gare Gela. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed half the night experiencing varieties of emotions. Finally, after making the Lord lie down on his bed, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy returned to their homes. Gambhira Radwari Govinda Karila Shayana Sabaratri Prabhu Karena Ucha Sankirtana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant Govinda lay down at the door of his room, and the Lord very loudly chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all night. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Achambite Shunena Prabhu Krishna Venu Gana Bhaveshe Prabhu Tan Karila Prayana. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the vibration of Krishna's flute, then in ecstasy he began to depart to see Lord Krishna. Tina Dware Kapata Ache Acheta Lagia Bhaveshe Prabhu Gela Bahira Hana. All three doors were fastened as usual, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in great ecstasy, nevertheless got out of the room and left the house. Singadwara Lakshane Achitailanga Gavirgana Tahanyai Patila Prabhu Hana Chaitana. He went to a cowshed on the southern side of the Singadwara. There the Lord fell down unconscious among cows from the district of Tailanga. Eta Govinda Mahaprabhura Shabda Napana Swarupere Bolaila Kapata Kulia. Meanwhile, not hearing any sounds from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda immediately sent for Swarup Damodar and opened the doors. Tabi Swarup Goswami Sange Lana Bhakta Gana Yuti Dwalya Karena Prabhura Anveshana. Then Swarup Damodar Goswami lit a torch and went out with all the devotees to search for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Iti uti anveshya singa dware gela gabigana majayai prabhure paela. After searching here and there, they finally came to the cowshed near the Singha Dwara. There they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lying unconscious among the cows. Pitera Bitara Hashtapada Kumera Akara Muke Pena Pulakanga Netriyashudara. His arms and legs had entered the trunk of his body exactly like those of a tortoise. His mouth was foaming, there were eruptions on his body, and tears flowed from his eyes. Wow. Arms and legs had entered the trunk of his body exactly like that of a tortoise. Wow. His mouth was foaming, and there were eruptions on his body, and tears flowed from his eyes. I mean, that's not possible in a material body, obviously, without death. Echetana pariyachena yena kushmana pala bahire jadima antare ananda vivala. As the Lord lay there unconscious, his body resembled a large pumpkin. Externally he was completely inert, but within he felt overwhelming transcendental bliss. Gabi Sava Chodike Shunke Prabhura Shriyanga Durakaile Nahichare Prabhura Shriyanga Sangha. All the cows around the Lord were sniffing his transcendental body. When the devotees tried to check them, the cows refused to give up their association with the transcendental body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Aneka Karila Yatna Nahaya Chaitana Prabhure Utana Gare Anhila Bhakta Gata. The devotees tried to rouse the Lord by various means, but his consciousness did not return. Therefore they all lifted him and brought him back home. Uchakare Shavane Karinama Sankirtana Anekakshane Mahaprabhu Paila Chaitana. All the devotees began to chant the Hare Krishna mantra very loudly in the Lord's ears, and after a considerable time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained consciousness. Chaitana Haile Hastapada Bahira Aila Purvavat Yata Yogya Sharira Haila. When he regained consciousness, his arms and legs came out of his body, and his whole body returned to normal. Reminds me of the Lord Jagannath deities, right? Their arms and legs went into themselves. The unfinished deities, but that's actually how Krishna wanted to be seen. So Lord Chaitanya was like Lord Jagannath, basically. Utiya Vasilena Prabhu, Kahena iti uti, Swarupe Kahena Tumiyama, Anila Kati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up and then sat down again. Looking here and there, he inquired from Sarup Damodar, "Where have you brought me?" Venu Shabda Shunyami, Kailana Vrindavana, Deki Goshte Venu Bhashaya, Bhajendra Nandana. After hearing the vibration of the flute, I went to Vrindavan, and there I saw Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, was playing on his flute in the pasturing ground. Shankita Venu Nade, Radhani Kunjagare, Kunjera Chalila Krishna Krida Karibare. He brought Srimati Radharani to a bower by signaling with his flute. Then he entered within that bower to perform pastimes with her. Tanra Pache Pacheyami, Harinu Gamana, Tanra Bhusha, Dhwanite Amara Harila Shavana. I entered the bower just behind Krishna, my ears captivated by the sound of his ornaments. Gopigana Sahavihara, Hasa Parihasa, Kanta Dwani Ukti Shuni, Mora Karno Lasa. I saw Krishna and the gopis enjoying all kinds of pastimes while laughing and joking together. Hearing their vocal expressions enhanced the joy of my ears. Hena Kale, Tumi Saba Kolahala Kari, Ama Inha Lana Aila, Balatkara Kari. Just then all of you made a tumultuous sound and brought me back here by force. Shunite Napainu se, Amrita Samavani, Shunite Napainu Bhushana, Muralira Dhvani. Because you brought me back here, I could no longer hear the nectarian voices of Krishna and the gopis, nor could I hear sounds of their ornaments or the flute. Bhavaveshe Surupikena Gadgadavane, Karna Trishnaya Maripada Rasayana Shuni. In great ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Swarup Damodar in a faltering voice, "My ears are dying of thirst. Please recite something to quench this thirst. Let me hear it." Sarupa Goswami Prabhura Bhava Janiya Bhagavatera Shlokapade Madhura Kariya. Understanding the ecstatic emotions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar in a sweet voice recited the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Wow. Kastranga te kalapadamrita venu gita samohitarya charitam na chalatrilokyam chailokya sobhagam inam chani reksharupam yadgo dujadruma mriga pulakanya vibram. The gopis said, "My dear Lord Krishna, where is that woman within the three worlds who would not be captivated by the rhythms of the sweet songs coming from your wonderful flute? Who would not fall down from the path of chastity in this way? Your beauty is the most sublime within the three worlds. Upon seeing your beauty, even cows, birds, animals, and trees in the forest are stunned in jubilation." And this verse is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:29-40. One more verse. Shuni Prabhu Gopi Bhave Avishtahaila Bhagavatera Shlokera Artha Karitela Gila. Upon hearing this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, overwhelmed with the ecstasy of the gopis, began to explain it. And I think this next verse is going to be pretty, Let me just read the next verse. Haila gopi ava vesha, kaila rase paravesha, krishnara shuni upeksha vachana, krishnara mukahasya vani, chageta sachamani, roshe krishna dine, ola hana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the gopis entered the arena of the rasa dance in ecstasy, but after hearing Krishna's words of negligence and detachment, they understood that he was going to renounce them. Thus, they began to chastise him in anger. So that's the gopis' man. Okay, we'll end there with text 33. Pretty ecstatic. All right, so we will stop sharing and allow you all to unmute yourselves. Give me 1 second. Okay, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself, and Rakesh, you just wait. So let other people have an opportunity. So who has a question? You have the opportunity. So Gopal, okay. What's your question?
Please accept my obeisance, Gurudev. The gopis were speaking about the flute, and they several times spoke in anger, referring to the flute as being dead.
Yeah.
And yet, you made the point earlier that everything in Krishna's spiritual world is actually alive.
Yes.
So, is this a statement of ecstasy?
Yes, a statement of ecstasy and criticism. Just like
criticism?
Yeah, it's a statement of anger and envy, transcendental envy. Anyway.
Is it that Yogamaya? Does Yogamaya sort of cover over their memory that the flute is actually alive?
Not necessarily. It's just that they're angry. They're just looking for the bad qualities. Just like you, when you get angry, you look for someone's bad qualities. So in the spiritual world, it's like that. You look for someone, they look for someone's bad qualities. And it's not that, those bad qualities aren't there, but you see bad qualities because the flute appears to be dead. Just like one time I was angry at one of your friends, and I called him your dead friend. You remember?
I didn't realize it was out of anger. I thought it was just an observation.
Well, it was an observation. It wasn't anger. It was, anyways, an observation. But he wasn't obviously dead, but it was criticism.
He was close.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Give someone else an opportunity. Someone else raise your hand, or else we're going to have to call on Rakesh. Okay, Madhava.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Maharaj. I'm driving, but I have a question. So, is this gopis complaining, looking bad, saying about the flute? It means, are they kind of spiritually envious of the flute? That flute is enjoying the lips of Sri Krishna. Is that what it is going on?
Yeah, they're wishing they could do that in all circumstances. Like Krishna carries his flute in his belt 24 hours a day. Not 24, I mean, probably. It's next to him when he sleeps. And sometimes the flute gets stolen by the gopis. There's that one instance, I believe it was in the Vidagdha Madhava, where the gopis, Radharani steals Krishna's flute. And then after she steals Krishna's flute, Krishna doesn't have his flute. And so he's real upset, and she's holding on to it. And Jatila, her mother-in-law, grabs Krishna's flute. And she said, I'm not going to let that flute back in Krishna's hands to bewilder the gopis. And she takes it to her house, and the gopis are really upset as to what they should do so far as getting back the flute. So then, let's see, Purnamasi comes to their aid and calls for Purnamasi or Vrinda. I think it's Brinda, calls for this old monkey Kakati to enter Jatila's house and start tearing the whole house apart. Sorry, tearing the whole house apart, and then she has nothing to throw at the monkey, so she throws the flute at the monkey. The monkey grabs the flute and takes the flute to back to Radharani and the gopis. So in this way, there's attempts to take the flute away from Krishna.
Thank you, Gurudev. Thank you, Gurudev.
Okay, and so here's a question: is it true that Krishna never took his flute when he left Vrindavan? That's right. Krishna doesn't play the flute outside of Vrindavan. That is absolutely right. Krishna doesn't play the flute in Dwarka, Mathura, Vaikuntha, or anywhere else. Uh, yes, you could say the flute is empowered expansion of Balaram. Did Radharani ever play a flute? That's interesting. I don't know. You'll have to ask her if she played a flute. It's a question we just get. So she certainly played instruments. I wouldn't say that she played. It's possible. Okay, so we're getting some questions in the chat window. Any other questions? Internet? Did Radharani play the internet?
No. Internet was bad. Now it came back okay now.
All right. Okay. Yeah, sometimes the internet goes up, sometimes it goes down. That's life in the material world. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question for you, Dave.
Yeah.
So it seems like sometimes pure devotees, I mean, obviously Lord Chaitanya, but other times pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada seem to be functioning outside of the realm of material nature, basically on a spiritual platform, not controlled by material energy. But it seems like other times pure devotees, their bodies behave as one would expect in the material world. So
Right.
why isn't it that as soon as someone's a pure devotee, why doesn't Krishna arrange that they're automatically manifesting all the spiritual body symptoms?
Well, that's up to Krishna. Krishna actually has to transform the body. That doesn't happen in each and every case. In certain cases, Krishna allows the devotee to go back to the spiritual world just by transforming the body into Satchidananda. But for most cases, the devotee's body is not material in the sense of covered by the three modes of material nature, but in most cases, the body of a pure devotee is physical and has to act according to the physical rules and regulations. That's 99% of the cases. In some cases, Krishna actually transforms the body, but that's extremely rare. Extremely rare. Therefore, the statement is that one cannot experience the full extent of the spiritual ecstasies with a material body, or else one will die. Or, you couldn't do it. Just the material body is not capable, or the physical body is not capable, just to be more specific.
Would it be safe to say that when a pure devotee leaves their body, it's because they're manifesting the full extent of those ecstatic symptoms and their body just can't handle it anymore?
No, I would say when a pure devotee leaves the body, it's because Krishna wants them to leave and go somewhere else. That's not necessarily true that they start manifesting the symptoms and the body just goes, explode. No, and actually there are statements that while one has a physical body, one cannot exhibit these full symptoms of ecstasy. And as I said, Krishna can transform that physical body completely into spirit, but in most cases, that physical body is spiritualized, like Prabhupada describes, like an iron rod that enters the fire. It acts like fire, But in one sense, it's actually a little different than fire. You understand? If you put an iron rod in fire, it gets hot, hot, red hot, red hot, and it acts like fire, but at the same time, it is not fire. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he engaged everything, his body, his mind, his words, everything in Krishna's service. But that's not to say that that Srila Prabhupada will look eternally like he did when he manifested his presence on this world, in this world. It's a little bit different.
Is it possible that when pure devotees have physical illness, that it's because they're experiencing so much ecstatic emotion that it comes out?
That's possible. Or it may be due to the sins of their disciples. Prabhupada said that sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe due to accepting disciples or accepting disciples who don't quite follow the principles or practices properly. So maybe a variety of reasons why the pure devotee may experience some physical things. But let's say the pure devotee, no matter which pure devotee we're talking about, unless their body is like transformed into Satchidananda, they do get old. I mean, Prabhupada, we can see Prabhupada getting old. We can see every pure devotee, they manifested the symptoms, at least externally, of getting old. But their mind was always clear, like Prabhupada was able to translate his Srimad Bhagavatam, even when he was lying on his bed in the final moments before he left this world. His mind was actually as sharp as a bell, as sharp as ever, perfectly connected to Krishna. But the physical body does get old and it does get sick. And Prabhupada had heart attacks. And yes, you may say that the heart attack was probably a symptom of ecstasy, but it may be Krishna's arrangement to glorify Srila Prabhupada's determination. That's also a possible reason. Like Prabhupada was asked why there's so many impediments, and Prabhupada said, without impediments or problems, where's the chance for glorious victory? So to glorify a pure devotee, like Prabhupada was gored by a bull, you can't say the goring of the bull was a spiritual ecstasy of Srila Prabhupada. And the goring of the bull was actually Krishna's showing Prabhupada's determination. I mean, many of us, if we had gotten gored by a bull, many of us, if we got a heart attack, we would just retire. I'm thinking, if I got a heart attack, then I would just hear Bhagavatam for the rest of my life. I don't know what I would do. But Prabhupada got 2 heart attacks on the boat, and he didn't retire. He continued his mission, and that glorifies Prabhupada. So Krishna arranges impediments, or apparent impediments, or apparent problems for pure devotee to glorify them. Okay, I think we have to end. Thank you very much. It's nice to hear about Krishna's pastimes, like this, very ecstatic, intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Thank you very much. All glories to Prabhupada. We'll see everybody tomorrow evening. Haribol. Let's see.